Okay. Why do we need habits? Most of our life is things that we're doing on autopilot, right? The world's too complicated to have to think of every decision we make. So we need habits that are running in the background, driving our behavior. And we want our habits to be conscious so that the things that are running us in the background are actually things that we've previously decided consciously are good for us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like being strategic about how your day is going to go, not just habitually doing things maybe that aren't conducive to your goals or where you want to go in life, but intentionally choosing the habits, the actions that you're going to do every day that are going to contribute to where you want to go.
Right. Yeah, funny enough, actually, the tagline that we're playing around with for the brand, um, Recharge Health, not the podcast, is living intentionally. Um, and that's it. It's like, I mean, take functional patterns, right? It's like the slogan is train intentionally, not habitually, right? And oftentimes he'll say live intentionally, not habitually. And so maybe we don't use that. It's very close, but it's like that distinction is very important because we want the intention to be guiding the behavior, not the habituality of it. Now, eventually, once you've done a lot of reworking of the things that you do in a day, you create things that you do habitually that are good for you. But before you start making habits consciously, living habitually we tend to do things in the easiest way possible. And oftentimes those aren't the things that are best for us, right? And so we need strategies to create structure in our life that's working for us. So, okay, we've been going over some of them. Like, if I want to make a new habit, right? Um, what's like the keys to starting a new habit? Okay, we had to stop. We had some technical issues that we have apparently now resolved. Um, one of the things that we see most common when we're analyzing why people do or do not get themselves into better health or make progress in areas of their life that they want to is because they don't know how to create habits. Um, a lot of people assume, oh, I just don't know what to do, or that's too complicated for me. But most of the time, it just comes down to the fact that people don't know how to make a new habit. And the reason that is because it's actually not that easy. It's simple once you talk about it, but it's hard. And one of the things that we were talking about the other day is if you want to if you want to become a different person, you have to actually accept what's involved in becoming a new person. And I think a lot of times what we try to do, we want to keep everything we have now and also become a new person. And so when you're creating a new habit, by definition, you have to stop the old way that you were doing whatever was in that place. We always think of things as I'm this box and then I'm going to add on a little bit more. But most of the time, it's not that. Most of the time, we have to take a chunk out of the box and put the new piece in. And let's say, let's say, let's say you want to create the habit of going to the gym. It's not just, I need to go to the gym today. It's, you need to wrap your mind around the fact that you need to start to identify as the person who goes to the gym every day. And for a lot of people, I think there's a lot of responsibility involved in making progress that we're afraid of. Um, what are your thoughts on that? Like that feeling of, I want to make a change, but there's a new responsibility.
Yeah, it's almost like a new identity. You don't want to separate from what you're so used to doing. And we already have a set of daily habits, whether we think about them as habits or not. The things we do every single day are who we are, right? And we don't want to separate what we do and who we are in order to create new habits because it's almost like we're changing who we are, right? We're creating a new identity. And if you're making a really big change in your life, it is. It's like you're almost like killing off your old identity, right? To if you want to lose like 100 pounds or you want to have this big goal like running a marathon and you've never ran before, something crazy, right? You want to make a big change in your life. Um, yeah, you have to create a new identity, and that's really hard for some people.
Yeah, I like that idea of, it's funny because that's exactly what I was thinking is of the, like those words of you're killing off parts of yourself. It's very Jordan Peterson-esque of you. But that's really what's happening in our life is as we move forward, we have to, the other analogy he uses is burn off the dead wood. Like we have to take these parts of ourselves that aren't serving us anymore, and we have to kill them off. And then we have to replace them with something of actually consciously what we think will be better. And if you do that over time, then you've put your life together. Um, I had a thought and I lost it. Um,
So, so let's say you've made the decision. You're like, I'm ready to make this change. I'm willing to create a new identity for myself. What's the very first thing that you can do to start creating habits?
okay, you just reminded me of where I was going to go with this. Um, Not necessarily a tool, but a concept. Humility. Humility is step one. It's step one. We tend to be arrogant in a like kind of a subconscious way of, it's a weird paradox because we can simultaneously think like, oh, I'm a loser and I don't do anything right, and also think, yeah, but I'm better than doing that. And so I'll explain this to people, this concept of like, we think we're too better than like, we think we're better than just putting our clothes away. And obviously this is one that you're going to laugh at because my laundry sits in my in my room
Yeah,
like
it
for like
does.
5 days. But like I'm not better than the idea that I just can't seem to put my laundry away when the laundry's done. It sounds so little and benign that like, well, obviously if I wanted to I could. But it's like I don't do it. And like for me, I don't look at that as like, whatever, it's just laundry. Like in my head, I look at that as like, no, this is a big battle that you have to overcome. And I'm not fighting it right now. I'm doing other things, but like I do actually know in the back of my head, I need to conquer this idea that I cannot put my laundry away right when my laundry's done. But having the humility to understand like that's actually a battle I need to have. I'm not better than that fight. And for a lot of people, the reason I'm bringing that up is because we don't start small enough. So when we're starting a new habit, start where you can manage and understand that it's okay if what you can actually manage isn't that impressive. Like,
Honestly, the first couple of things that you should be implementing as habits are not impressive at all.
you're not going to tell
You
your friends and be like, "Oh, bro, you're never going to guess what I did today. I drank 2 cups of water this morning.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
they're unsexy,
Yeah.
but they're required because whatever your long-term goal is, let's say let's bring it back to the example of going to the gym. It's always the easiest one to use. You want to be jacked. You're not going to get to the point of, you know, taking your shirt off at the beach and being ripped this week. You're going to have to show up and you're going to be breathing heavy, just putting your clothes on in the change room. You're going to go out and you're going to be overwhelmed looking at the gym. But like, understand you've already won. And that's okay. That's okay to feel proud of yourself for just showing up, even though you can run yourself into these concepts. Oh, well, look at all these people already working out, and I've just been here one day. Like, this is nothing. It's like, no, no, no. Give yourself the credit for that and understand that that's your battle. Your battle is as small as you need it to be.
And I think you also need to make it very easy so that you are able to complete it. Because having a goal or a habit that you're trying to ingrain that's too difficult for whatever reason, and we all have different levels that would be difficult for us, but having something that's too difficult that you can't sustain is not going to allow you to gain that momentum of consistency to be able to implement it every single week, and then build from there, right? We're talking about choosing something that, let's say, your task, let's say that there's a rating between 1 and 10, 10 being the easiest possible thing you could do to complete, and you're like 100% certain that you can do every single day for 7 days in a row. That's the type of habit you should be choosing first, because you can always build upon that and get more complicated. It's when we think, okay, I'm going to get my health and my life together. I'm going to exercise 6 days a week. I'm going to meal prep for 3 hours, and I'm going to count all my macros, and I'm going to be perfect this week. And you haven't done any of those things remotely similar. Well, you're kind of bound to fail, right? That's too complicated. It's too hard. It's not a 10 out of 10 on the easy scale. Um, you should be picking one of those things, rating it for yourself. Okay, can I go to the gym 6 days this week? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not 10 out of 10 certain. I'm maybe like 5 out of 10 certain. Okay, that's way too hard. Can I go to the gym once this week? You're a person that never goes to the gym. Can I go to the gym once this week? Yeah, I'm 10 out of 10 certain I can go once. Okay, start with that, right?
Yeah.
And you can build upon that. It's a win that you went to the gym once.
Yeah. Yeah. We tend to look at the end goal and think, well, anything less than that isn't worth it. But just like you're saying, like you have to scale it back because you'll never get to that point if you don't scale it back to the small pieces. Um, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to habits is that humility, not being arrogant and thinking if I don't do everything, then it's not, then I might as well do nothing. Um, like that's a trick we play in our brain to not do the things we know we should do. Is we think, oh well, I can't do it all, so I might as well not do it at all. It's not worth it, but it is worth it. Um, yeah, another thing. This is like a little trick that you can use when you are in the stage of like, okay, I've decided that I know I need to break this down into something small. So I don't know. I'm trying to get movement into my day, right? I realize I don't really move. What you can start doing, depending on the type of person, if you're someone who needs things structured and organized, this specifically might not work. But let's say you're someone you're just like, I don't use my body. I want to get 5 body squats in twice a day, right? I'm starting there. I'm making that happen. What you can do is you start to pair that with something that you already do. It's called habit stacking. And so you say, when I get up in the morning, before I brush my teeth, I got my toothbrush in my hand before I put the toothpaste on in the bathroom, looking like an idiot. I'm going to do 5 bodyweight squats. And what it serves a couple purposes. The one, it gives you a reminder because you're pairing it with something you already are doing. And if it's something that's easy to do, like brushing your teeth, it's already something we do. Then it's like if you just make that a prerequisite to doing that, it you kind of blend those tasks together, and then all of a sudden it's not so annoying because you're like, oh well, I already do this. So if I'm just doing it, also I got to do 5 squats before I brush my teeth. It's really not that hard because I brush my teeth. It takes me a minute and a half. Okay, it's going to take me a minute and 45 seconds because this is nothing in terms of time.
Mhm.
And so stacking the habit that way and also pairing it with something that's rewarding, which would be even better. So let's say, I mean, we all like eating. So let's say a better idea would even be pairing it with breakfast. So it's like before I can eat, I'm going to do this thing. And what you do is when you position the thing you don't want to do in front of something that you want to do, that creates a little bit of a motivational push to, okay, now what I'm going to do before every meal, I'm going to do 5 bodyweight squats and start there. And so putting it with that other thing you're already doing, that especially if you want to do it, that's a good way to set yourself up for success. Okay, talk this I guess it's pretty similar to what we're talking about, but you can explain this to me because you use this one. You've mentioned this one a few times in the last days. This idea of like a 5 minute habit or 5 minute action. Sorry. Um, why is this concept useful?
I think it's useful because sometimes, well, we tend to overcomplicate the habit, right? It's too big, like we said, going to the gym 6 days a week. Well, what if going to the gym 1 day a week is a lot, like getting yourself there. Well, how can we break that down even further? A 5 minute action would be okay. I'm going to plan in my calendar when I'm going to the gym tomorrow. And then I'm also going to pick out my workout clothes and my shoes, and I'm going to put that in a place where that when I wake up and my alarm goes off, if I'm going to the gym in the morning, everything is there. My workout bag is packed. That's a 5 minute action that's going to reduce any resistance and get you up and get you going to accomplish that goal, right? So the 5 minute action is a starting point. It's like you're launching yourself into the direction of the goal. It's not necessarily the goal, but if you can accomplish that 5 minute action, the likelihood that you're going to continue, right, after you put your shoes on and you go in your car with all your stuff, the likelihood that you're just going to walk back in the house and not go to the gym is pretty slim. You've prepared yourself enough where you're going to follow through with what your actual habit is. So the 5 minute action is a way to um, kickstart that.
Right. Yeah, that's I can't remember the guy's name that wrote Atomic Habits, but
James Clear.
is it James Clear?
Yep.
Okay. I was thinking I'm messing him up with Jim Quick. Sorry, that's what I was
Oh,
thinking. He's the guy that
yeah.
wrote what's the other book we read? Jim Quick.
Yeah.
Smart. I remember he was the
It's
book.
not impossible or something. It's something with the
Anyways,
brain.
unimportant. Yeah, in Atomic Habits he talks about that, which is basically like it's kind of a hack where you make the goal the minimum the minimum amount of effort that once you did that, it's very unlikely that you wouldn't just do the whole thing. So it's exactly like you're talking about. Like he was saying, like if you want to go for a run, you don't say I'm going to go for a run. You put in your calendar, put on your running shoes. And so it's like once you get down to the door and you put on your running shoes, you're going to go for a run. You're not just going to take your shoes off and go, wow, I did that. You're going to get the little reward that, okay, I came down here and I did this. And then you will just naturally do the habit. And it makes things seem less overwhelming too. To your point about like maybe going to the gym is overwhelming for you. Because there are definitely people that just showing up to do the thing that they know they should do is absolutely overwhelming. And so maybe you need to break it down into something that's seems more manageable. Um, sorry, the dog's kicking the camera. Um, yeah,
Okay, and what if what can you do about resistance? You know, think like challenges or obstacles that come up because
right.
they're bound to happen, but what can you do to plan or prepare for that?
Yeah. So this is one of my, I've told like probably 50 to 60 different people this in person, this idea of plan for resistance, because I think it is aside, if I would put humility at number one of things that crush people's plans to improve. And the number two is not planning for resistance. And you can be 100% certain that there's going to be a trap after you start to get the ball rolling on something. Um, and we were just talking about this earlier, this idea of like when you start to notice your you have like entitlement talk going on in your head. And so I'll lay this out. You have the January 15th problem, which is new year, new me. Everybody's ready to go January 2nd because January 1st, everybody's hungover. And you show up to the gym and it's feeling good. You got high momentum. You're ready to go. You go 3 days that week. And second week of January, you're still good. You're maybe slugging through it a little bit, but you're showing up because you're ready to take this on. You've you've understood that you need to commit and keep going to this. And then what's going to happen is January 15th, maybe your sixth, seventh workout, you're going to wake up in the morning and go, I don't want to go today. Like, I've been doing really well. I've been crushing it. I've showed up every workout so far. Like, I think I deserve a day off. And that, when you get that deserve, that is like the red flag that you need to go to the gym that day. If you really believe you want a day off, take it the next day. But this is the trap. The resistance is going to come in the form of you convincing yourself that it's a good idea, right? I mean, this isn't like, oh, I want to go eat junk food and I know I shouldn't eat junk food, so I'm not going to. This is, no, 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 I deserve it. Like I've been doing so good that I deserve to have this. And that's why it's a trap because that's where the resistance is going to come. It's going to come in a form where you believe you're justified in doing it. Um, and that's like you have to plan for that before it happens because once you're there, if you're not already primed to have that alarm bell go off in your head of, oh, I'm doing the thing where I try to convince myself that I deserve something that I don't deserve, um, it's too late. You'll be overwhelmed and you'll already like not go to the gym and you might realize it the next day or 2 days later, but that might be enough to undercut your whole effort. Um, so definitely plan for that moment. It's normally not right away. It's after you have a little bit of success and you start to get confident in the dog is drinking out of the toilet right now.
Yeah.
um, you start to get confident in, you get cocky, right? You say, oh, I got this. I don't take a day off today because I've already been, I've been crushing it. And yeah, just give yourself that day and say, okay, I'm going to put a mental note of that. I'm going today. And if I feel like this tomorrow, then I'll take my break. And then give yourself the break because you really did have a win. And, then you can move forward. But um okay, this one's going to be a short one cuz I got to get going. Um anything else you think is like particularly important for people to know about habits? I'm sure we'll come back to this topic at some point, but
Yeah, I think lastly, it's important to measure your progress. So whether you track it in a journal or an app or a calendar, for example, like if my goal is to work out 3 times a week, I not only plan out the week ahead with I'm going to work out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at these times. But then I go back, and if the workout was delayed, a day, or I had to rearrange my schedule, I go back and I edit the calendar entries and I put what I actually did so that, you know, a month from now I can say, okay, was I really consistent over this last month? Like, how many workouts on average did I do a week? Did I hold myself accountable to my goal? Do I need to make any adjustments? Right? And then also being proud of my progress. Like, if I actually stuck to my 3 workouts a week for the last 4 weeks, then I did it, right? And that's when I
Right.
can be really proud of my progress and, set new goals, like either make something more challenging or say, I'm going to continue this for the next month, right? So, always looking back for like measuring your progress and being proud of that because that's really important.
Yeah, definitely an area I need to work on, measuring virtually anything.
Yeah.
um, okay.